Today, we delve into a 90s suspense thriller titled Unthinkable. The protagonist, Harry, is a tabloid journalist. He was framed and sentenced to 4 years in prison after exposing political corruption. One day, he was unexpectedly granted an early release. This was due to a mysterious individual providing crucial evidence that proved his innocence. Upon regaining his freedom, Harry's initial joy quickly turned to anger. After all, he had spent 2 years in prison for nothing.
2 years of my life wasted because I was honest, because I wasn't dirty like everybody else.
However, with no one willing to listen, he was helpless. After voicing his frustration, he grudgingly left the prison.
I want my 2 years back! I want it back!
He returned to his girlfriend's home, where he discovered she was now an artist, creating metal sculptures. He had assumed these pieces wouldn't sell for much, so he was quite astonished when his girlfriend stated the minimum price was $1,200.
Wow.
Witnessing his girlfriend's success while he remained unemployed, Harry's self-esteem suffered a blow. He was desperate to find employment. However, finding work proved challenging, and days passed without any progress. His girlfriend, observing his predicament, suggested Harry join her artistic venture. But Harry refused, feeling that relying on a woman for a living was an admission of his own incompetence.
Maybe I can make some deliveries for you?
It'd be great.
That'd be good. I'll be your fucking errand boy.
One day, while Harry was perusing job advertisements in a bar, an alluring woman suddenly walked past.
I need to make a phone call.
Driven by instinct, he couldn't help but gaze at her. He noticed that after making a call in the phone booth, the woman had left her handbag behind. Once the woman had departed, Harry, as if guided by an unseen force, entered the phone booth and discovered a substantial sum of cash inside the bag.
Oh, God.
He swallowed, deciding to appropriate the money for himself, thereby avoiding the need to borrow from his girlfriend again. Just as he was about to leave, the woman unexpectedly returned.
Oh, I left my handbag in...
I was just gonna hand it into the bartender.
Prompted by the bartender, the woman opened her bag, checked its contents, and confirmed that everything was still there. Then, as a token of gratitude, the woman offered to buy Harry a drink, which he accepted. Sensing Harry was seeking employment, the woman skillfully guided the conversation towards making money, revealing a highly lucrative project she was involved in and inviting Harry to participate. Harry found the offer perplexing. Who would trust a complete stranger promising to help them get rich? Noticing Harry's skepticism, the woman did not press further. Instead, she gave him her phone number, told him to contact her the next day, and then departed. Before leaving, she allowed Harry to keep the money he had secretly taken.
Until tomorrow, then?
Harry couldn't help but ponder the true identity of this mysterious woman. He followed her outside and observed her boarding a luxurious yacht, a clear sign of her considerable influence and wealth. He inquired with a fisherman on the shore, who revealed that the yacht belonged to a well-known wealthy magnate, and the woman was the magnate's wife, named Gina. They lived in this small town. Harry couldn't understand why a magnate would choose to settle in such a remote town. The fisherman revealed that the wealthy man had come to recuperate. He was suffering from lung cancer. Harry thought to himself, since he's a rich man, there must be some unconventional but profitable scheme that requires my involvement. It's worth considering. The next day, he decided to contact the wealthy lady named Gina. However, he did not call her directly, as that would seem too passive. He found the magnate's home address in the yellow pages and planned to pay a visit. Just then, his girlfriend was about to go out to deliver goods, so he offered to do it himself. And so, Harry drove to the magnate's villa. He pretended to be a delivery man, telling the bodyguard who opened the door that the package required the lady of the house's personal signature.
Okay, wait right here.
While waiting, Harry walked into the garden and discovered Gina tending to flowers there. Harry secretly gloated, feeling that his ability to track them down was quite impressive.
So let's talk.
Not here.
Gina asked him to rent a small cabin by the sea, where they could discuss matters in detail that evening. Harry smiled, his imagination running wild. Upon returning home, he told his girlfriend he had found a job at the dock. His girlfriend looked at his handsome attire with suspicion, asking, "Working at the docks, do you really need to dress as if you're going on a date?"
What, should I change?
No, you look really handsome. Good, impress the fish.
That evening, Harry met Gina at the recently rented seaside cabin. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, Gina said. Her husband had a daughter named Lisa from his previous marriage. If Lisa were kidnapped, they could demand $500,000 in ransom from her husband, and Harry would receive a 10% share, which was $50,000.
Are you interested?
I'm no kidnapper.
Gina added that it wasn't a real kidnapping, it was actually Lisa's idea. She would disappear for a few days, pretending to be kidnapped. Her father, doting on his daughter, would certainly not dare to call the police. Harry merely needed to call and demand the ransom. Harry thought for a moment and asked, "Since your husband is so wealthy, why don't you just ask him for money directly?" Gina explained that her husband gave them an allowance on time, but it was far from enough. Seeing Harry still hesitate, Gina resorted to seduction. Harry, as expected, couldn't resist. He also wanted to experience the pleasures of the powerful. Thus, Harry agreed to Gina's proposal, arranging for the magnate's daughter to come and discuss the details with him the next day. It's worth noting that both of them secretly recorded this conversation. The next day, Harry met Lisa at the cabin. During their conversation, Harry learned that Lisa didn't want to follow her father's plan to study in Europe, so she wanted to get some money from him, then run away from home and live a few years of carefree life. Upon hearing such a childish reason, Harry felt the girl was unreliable and immediately wanted to back out, telling her not to act foolishly. However, despite her young age, Lisa knew how to manipulate men. She playfully smacked Harry, causing him pain, then tenderly kissed him, instantly coaxing him into compliance. And so, Harry obediently listened to her plan of action and agreed to follow it.
It's not bad.
The next day, the operation began. First, Lisa went to a bar with friends for drinks, then secretly left midway. Next, Harry secretly drove her to the airport, and she then used fake documents to fly to another city. Meanwhile, Harry used a public phone to extort the wealthy man.
Please don't hurt her, you get your money.
Believing everything was going smoothly, he was surprised when the police showed up at his door the next day, asking him to come to the prosecutor's office. Harry wondered if their plan had been exposed so quickly. Upon arrival, he realized it was just a false alarm. It turned out that the one who called Harry was his brother-in-law, Prosecutor Hayes, who wanted his help with Lisa's kidnapping case. Indeed, the matter had caught the attention of the police. It wasn't that the wealthy man had reported it to the police. Instead, Hayes had received a notification from a friend at the bank, stating that the wealthy man had urgently withdrawn $500,000 from his account. At the same time, the wealthy man's bodyguard, a former police officer known to Hayes, informed Hayes that Lisa had not returned home all night. Hayes thus concluded that Lisa had been kidnapped. Hayes wanted Harry to serve as a media liaison to deal with difficult reporters, and he would, of course, be paid for it.
So, why me?
Hayes lavished praise on Harry, calling him upright, brave, and incorruptible, which made Harry quite uncomfortable. Indeed, where was the righteous journalist who once dared to expose darkness? Hayes' appreciation awakened Harry's conscience. He accepted the job. He then contacted Lisa, informing her that the police had intervened, and urged her to return to drop the case. Lisa stated that she couldn't stop and had to get the money. She also threatened that if Harry messed things up, she would tell the police about his involvement in the extortion. Harry was now in a dilemma. With no other option, he had to call Gina to the cabin for a talk. As soon as they met, Harry unleashed his anger on Gina. A small physical altercation occurred between the two. After calming down, Gina revealed that she had already seen $500,000 in cash at home and that with a little more effort, the money would be theirs. With that, she led Harry to the bed. Faced with the dual temptation of money and beauty, Harry's rationality once again failed him. He agreed to continue with the extortion plan. After leaving the cabin, Gina returned to the car and surprisingly kissed the bodyguard, telling him not to be jealous of Harry. That evening, Harry contacted the wealthy man to inform him of the time and location for the ransom drop. He then went to the airport to pick up Lisa and brought her back to the cabin. Later, Harry arrived at the agreed location and retrieved the briefcase left by the tycoon, noticing its considerable weight. On the way back, he couldn't stop smiling, thinking how quickly one could earn money once they shed their conscience. He remained joyful throughout the journey, until he returned to the cabin, where the sight before him left him stunned. Lisa had been strangled by an unknown assailant, a deep ligature mark visible on her neck. Harry huddled against the wall, his mind a complete blank. After a while, he recovered slightly and realized he had to dispose of the body. He placed the body in the trunk and drove through the pouring rain to transport it. On the way, he grew increasingly regretful, lamenting how he had abandoned a decent job for illicit and criminal activities, now finding himself deeply mired in trouble. Just as his emotions spiraled out of control, a large truck approached from the opposite direction. After an emergency swerve, the car collided with the guardrail and came to a halt. He got out to inspect, discovering a flat tire. To make matters worse, a police officer happened to pass by at that moment and inquired about his situation.
You know, I took mine off the road for 1 second and I slid into a guardrail. Been drinking? No, I don't drink.
Harry informed the officer that he worked for the prosecutor's office. Prosecutor Hay was his brother-in-law. Upon hearing that he had connections, the officer's tone immediately softened, and he offered to help change the spare tire. Harry politely declined, but the officer insisted on helping.
Go, open her up.
In a critical moment, Harry, thinking quickly, broke the trunk key. Without further thought, the officer called a tow truck and then departed. Upon returning home, Harry, utterly exhausted, locked the car in the garage and went to sleep. The next morning, Harry received a call from Hay, who informed him that the tycoon had just reported to the police because, despite paying the ransom, his daughter had not returned home. Soon, the tycoon arrived at the ransom drop-off location with the police. Harry also accompanied Hay to the scene. On the ground were numerous footprints left by Harry. This, however, was not the most critical piece of evidence. More incriminating was a cigarette but he had smoked the previous night.
Hey, Harry, come on. There could be important evidence you're standing on there, all right?
Sorry.
At this point, Harry suddenly realized the tycoon's bodyguard looked familiar and asked Hay who he was. Hay explained that the bodyguard was a former police officer. He had been dismissed from his post due to his involvement in the corruption case you exposed. In fact, it was his testimony that led to your early release from prison. Upon hearing this news, Harry felt inexplicably confused, though he couldn't quite articulate why. Subsequently, Harry, in his capacity as media liaison, began to field a barrage of reporters. He expertly equivocated, achieving the effect of saying a lot without actually revealing anything. After the press conference, Brother Hay announced his intention to use the cigarette but for DNA identification. Upon hearing this, Harry's heart sank, and he rushed back to the garage to dispose of the body. Before doing so, he wanted to quickly glance at the $500,000 in cash inside the bag. Before he could open the bag, his girlfriend suddenly appeared. Seeing Harry suspiciously holding an LV briefcase, she inquired about the situation. Harry attempted to deceive her further, but his girlfriend immediately guessed the true nature of the matter.
This is about that girl, isn't it?
His girlfriend suspected that the wealthy man's daughter's body was in the trunk. Harry hesitated for a moment but ultimately chose to confess. After telling his girlfriend, Harry reassured her, saying, "Don't worry, we have money to solve this problem." To his surprise, the bag contained no money at all, only waste paper. Harry let out a wry chuckle, realizing he deserved it. He deduced that Gina had swapped out the money. But the question remained, even if she swapped the money, why would she kill Lisa? Could she have been planning to inherit the wealthy man's estate after his death? However, given Gina's strength, was she capable of strangling Lisa to death? Perhaps Gina had an accomplice. Harry immediately thought of the bodyguard. In a sudden shift, his girlfriend ran directly to the bodyguard's car and played him Harry's secretly recorded conversation with Gina. The implication was clear, his accomplice could not escape, and he, too, would eventually be exposed. To protect himself, the bodyguard reluctantly agreed to find a time to dispose of the body. Before she exited the car, the bodyguard advised her to listen to the entire recording. Upon hearing this, his girlfriend was on the verge of tears. It turned out the latter part of the recording contained Harry and Gina's intimate moments. However, she did not display immediate fury. Instead, she calmly questioned Harry about why he had become such a scoundrel.
I don't understand. Don't tell me you did it for the money.
No, I didn't do it for the money.
Then why?
Well, I guess I felt like, somebody owed me something for those 2 years.
Harry finally articulated his deepest, truest motive. He harbored a profound resentment over his 2-year prison sentence, believing the world owed him. This strong victim mentality drove him to unscrupulous measures to recoup his losses and seek a skewed sense of justice. At this point, the bodyguard arrived with a bucket of strong acid. He retrieved the tape, then cooperated with Harry to use the acid to dissolve the body. After they finished, the bodyguard tossed out a wad of cash, Harry's rightful payment. Holding the 50,000 yuan, Harry could not bring himself to be happy. The cost was simply too high. By this point, his girlfriend no longer wished to even look Harry in the eye. Harry disregarded his girlfriend's mood, gathering Lisa's belongings, preparing to discard them. As he arrived at the bridge, poised to throw them over, Brother Hay drove up, urging him to get in the car, stating that Lisa's body had been found. Harry was stunned. Where could a body have come from? Soon, Brother Hay drove Harry to the scene, which was the very cottage Harry had rented. Upon entering, they saw indeed a body covered on the bed. At that moment, the wealthy man arrived at the scene. Police uncovered the sheet, revealing the face of a young woman, and the magnate confirmed the deceased was indeed his daughter, Lisa. Harry was bewildered once more. If this was Lisa, then who was the person before? He felt a suffocating sensation. The complexity and cunning of human nature truly make one defenseless. Just then, the cottage's landlord also arrived, identifying Harry as the tenant. Without a word, Harry turned and fled. Harry took a bullet in the shoulder, but fortunately, Brother Hay intervened with the police, allowing him to escape successfully. Harry was not attempting to flee, rather, he refused to simply become a scapegoat and was determined to uncover the truth. That evening, he infiltrated the magnate's villa, and despite the bodyguard's armed threats, informed the magnate that his wife and bodyguard had conspired to murder his daughter. The magnate decided to give him a chance, calling his wife in for a confrontation. Upon her entry, to his astonishment, the magnate's wife was not the Gina he knew. Convinced that Harry was merely a cunning murderer, the magnate instructed his bodyguards to secretly eliminate him, seeking revenge for his daughter. Thus, Harry was led by the bodyguards to an abandoned factory, where he discovered his girlfriend had already been tied up by the fake Gina. The fake Gina confessed that she was actually the magnate's housekeeper, and after falling in love with the bodyguard, they had conspired to orchestrate this kidnapping. And the fake Lisa? She was a prostitute they had paid to play a role. As for Harry, he was simply the scapegoat they had chosen. Now, with all evidence pointing to Harry, they believed that once Harry and his girlfriend disappeared, they would be free from justice. How would they disappear? Still, with strong acid. The bodyguard filled a large container with strong acid, then used an electric hook to grasp Harry, preparing to hoist him up and lower him into the container. Before the hoisting, the housekeeper gave Harry a farewell kiss. Perhaps having worn the cuckold's hat for too long, the bodyguard showed no significant reaction to this. As the bodyguard pressed the button, Harry was slowly lifted above the container. The bodyguard then turned around and began putting on his gas mask. Harry's girlfriend gave him a look, and Harry seized the opportunity, taking the remote control and raising himself to the highest point.
Hey, what are you doing, Harry? You wanna fucking play games, huh?
The bodyguard immediately became enraged, standing on a chair to pull Harry down, during which Harry's wiretap, hidden beneath his clothes, was exposed.
You wearing a wire? Hold it, Donnelly! Ah!
The police suddenly broke through the door. Startled, the bodyguard accidentally fell into the strong acid. It turned out that after escaping the crime scene, Harry first sought out Brother Hay and recounted the entire truth. After listening, Brother Hay advised him to wear a wiretap to lure out the culprits. This was why he had gone to the rich man's villa. In this manner, Harry and his girlfriend were rescued, and simultaneously, the butler was arrested. Although Harry was involved in the kidnapping case, it was proven that he committed no murder and assisted in solving the crime. Ultimately, he was sentenced to only 1 year, returning to prison. Paradoxically, this granted Harry inner peace. In prison, he wrote a novel based on his experiences, reflecting on his mistakes, and ultimately achieving self-redemption. When an individual believes the world owes them something, the flames of revenge can easily consume reason, rendering their former principles vulnerable. However, attempting to rectify injustice through incorrect means will ultimately only result in a heavy price.